Here at Coder Foundry, we're revamping a lot of things we're doing in our program. And I thought that as we go through this revamp, the main question I'm asking myself is like, why does a student leave our program and not get a job?
We ask ourselves this a lot, don't we? Because we always look back on every single class. We're like, why didn't that work?
Every single day. Why did they not land? What is it? And the second thing is, what can we do better? And so I read a lot about boot camps on Reddit, and I read a lot of like stuff on Twitter, and I see some very, very famous tech influencers saying things that I just fundamentally don't agree with. And because I think it's bad advice, and I think that we could help a lot of people out. Now, whether you come to Coder Foundry or not, it doesn't matter. This thing works across the industry, whatever you're doing. But I routinely see reasons why people that don't come to Coder Foundry, when they reach out to us, I'd say, I can't land a job. I'm following all your advice, Bobby. I've listened to you. I've done this. I've done that. It doesn't work. And we're like, okay, why doesn't it work? And we'll say, send me your portfolio. So this is the number one reason when we look at portfolios is why you don't land. Typically, we'll look at that portfolio and it is what I would say unobjectively or objectively badly designed. Okay.
Yeah,
not subjectively that I don't like purple, or subjectively that I don't like, top level menus, only like side menus. None of those things. Objectively, it's kind of bad. And so the number one reason, if you're using that to share with prospective employers on LinkedIn or on Twitter, or you're trying to like land a job and you're sending this out, you immediately get what we call here at Coder Foundry the soft no. Our quest at Coder Foundry is to remove soft no's. It's to get every student to an interview and then they have to win. All right. So how do we remove soft no's? So we're constantly revamping everything that we do, because we look at things like, does the employer resonate with them when we send out a portfolio to an employer directly? What do they say? What's their immediate reaction? And we're trying to gauge reactions. And we can engage reactions, which is really kind of like an open close rate in an email. You can look at emails if you want to put a marketing spin to it and like, all right, what's my percentage of open here? Does the email work? Is the title right? Is it designed correctly? And we're looking at portfolios. Right. That's why in this cohort that's operating right now is our brand new portfolio 3.0, which is like, we built it again from scratch.
You've got to keep evolving, right?
We keep evolving.
I mean, we keep evolving like the industry keeps evolving, like you as a junior have to keep evolving. Like you can't rely on something that you did before. You've got to kind of keep up with the trends, keep up with the times. This thing kind of moves fast. And just back to when we're talking about like the design kind of things too. This, like, a lot of people will make an excuse. They're like, well, I don't have time, or I think it looks good, therefore I'm rolling with it.
Right.
Or I don't need to understand the design part of it. I just want to do back-end stuff. I'm more technical. I don't want to do the front-end stuff. People have a lot of different reasons as to why their portfolio doesn't look like, because they'll look at one and be like, wow, that's an amazing portfolio. But then they'll be like, mine doesn't look like that. Like, well, why doesn't yours look like that? What's the reasoning? Can you make yours look? Because exactly, there's a lot of reasonings why. But we're saying you have to put in that effort. You have to. There's no way around it. You have to put in the effort.
No way around it. It just means you're going to generate a lot of soft no's. So let's say that you send it out to 100 people and you get 99 rejections, is what we're seeing from people. And then we go look at the portfolio and we're like, hey, your portfolio is janky. Now, I'm extending this to your LinkedIn profile too. So like your LinkedIn profile can also turn off recruiters, turn off HR departments. Yeah. You show up in a search, or you don't show up in a search, you're getting a lot of soft no's because your stuff isn't filled out. Here's the other key skill, and I hope everyone is watching this, write this down, is attention to detail. Like when you have a portfolio, everything has to be spelled correctly, everything has to be positioned correctly, and everything has to look right on mobile, tablet, and desktop. If it doesn't, the attention to detail just simply isn't there.
Well, because what happens is people will only pay attention to that one thing that is a problem.
The one thing.
They won't say like, man, you got that so close. It was like, oh, it was so good.
Right.
But all they'll pay attention to is that line doesn't wrap around correctly, or something like, or your color choice there was bad, or your toolbar breaks on mobile, or whatever it is. They'll only see the negative.
Only the negative. And it's like if you had like a giant sore on your face, you know, and it's like it's right here on your cheek or whatever. That's when people look at you, that's all they can look at. They'll just keep staring at it. Like, that's all I can see. I can't see anything else. You know, you could be Margot Robbie, you know, and if you have a big thing in there, that's all they're going to look at. You're like, what is the deal here? What is that on your face? You know, like, what happened? You know, that's all they can look at. So a defect in a portfolio, in other words, like, here's the bar. We're going to talk about a lot about the bar. And the bar is like, where is the bar that I have to be at a junior level? Where is that at? In levels of expertise, knowledge, and all these things, where's the bar? Because I have to get over that bar to actually get a job. For a portfolio, the bar is 100% perfect. Everything has to be right on it. There is no misspellings. Oh, I was just thought about broken links. Every link has to work. It has to be positioned right. Just think 80% of your traffic, maybe 90% of your traffic, your first things will come on a mobile phone. If you have never looked at your portfolio on a mobile phone, you're doing it wrong. Okay? You're just doing it wrong. You're like, you know, I think if you're in business, if you're watching this and you're just in business and you guys have a website that does something, whether your marketing website or your actual product, and you're not looking at it on a phone, you're doing it wrong. Like, because the people look at it and they'll go, no, that's janky. Ask yourself this question. Have you ever went to a website on a mobile phone and you're trying to order something or trying to buy their service or just get their phone number and you don't see it? Guess what you don't do? You don't go to that store or that service. You go somewhere else where I can see it. That's what's happening with your portfolio. It is broken if it's got just the minor defect on it. If it doesn't look good, it is broken. It needs to be at 100%. So that's the bar. It's really high. Yep. But it's HTML and CSS. We should be able to do that. You know, we should be able to do that.
Definitely. Hey,
yeah, we can definitely fix that.
Danny had another point here too about what we were talking about. And hey, Danny, by the way, some people think a redesign is the end of the world and would rather fail with the hopes they find one person that likes it than to actually spend time accepting feedback to improve it. Yeah, definitely. And I get that too. I mean, and you get it too. You can understand that mentality, right? Somebody's giving you feedback. It's tough to hear sometimes. Like, it sucks to be like, to have somebody tell you that something is bad and you need to fix it. And we take it personally, and we shouldn't. We need to kind of have thick skin and push past that and take advice from people and fix it.
I think if you showed me your portfolio and I told you 10 things that are wrong with it, you could get mad at me. But what you should go is like, oh, he just saved me 100 soft notes. Like,
this is funny because people do actually get mad at you.
I didn't see it. They do get mad. They're like, well, you know how long I spent on that, Bobby? You know the time I spent on this portfolio? I'm like, I know, but it's not good. Like,
no, people do get mad at you. They really genuinely do. In the boot camp and everything, people get really upset about me because he will be like, you need to fix that. And they'll be like, well, I just spent all this time. And like, I understand. I get it. But you still got to fix it.
You're going to be up tonight.
You got to have tough skin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're not watching Netflix tonight. You're fixing these things.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
So so portfolio is one thing. All right. So I'm going to separate some different things on the portfolio. The second thing in here is projects. The projects are either there are no projects or they're bad. And here's what I think. And this is my opinion, but I can tell you it's backed up by like trying to pitch people resumes and projects and portfolios to employers. Like, I know that this works. If you're going to be a front end dev, you've got to build a full stack project. And people are like, what? I don't want to know about a database. I don't want to know about security. I just want to do the front end stuff on it like that. You're not going to get through the door without a full stack project. Think about it. They want to know, can you build a website this big? The job that they're interviewing for is front end, but I can guarantee you they have back end developers. They have a full stack thing that they're doing, and they want you to be more well-rounded than you think. So front end, do I just need a little bit of React, a little bit of CSS, a little bit of HTML, and a little bit of JavaScript down here, and I can take that into a job? Some people have done it, but I'm telling you right now, the bar is up here. If you had a project that showed off a database, security, logins, and performed some type of business function, whatever that is, you set yourself apart from every single boot camp college grad on the market, man. Like, I'm telling you, we show the bug tracker here at Foundry, and every time I show it, every single time I show it, the employer goes, wow, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. How long did it take to build them?
I love getting those messages. I love getting those messages in Teams. We have a Teams channel, like a staff Teams channel, right? Where Kelly will often come on and be like, she'll copy things from students that they've where they pitched the bug tracker or they pitch back. There was one the other day. It was so good. It was so good because it was from a recruiter, and they're basically like, yeah, we're not looking for a junior, we're looking for somebody more mid. And our student went back and said, oh, okay, I understand. Great, thanks for your time. I do have this project, though. And they sent them a link to the project, and the recruiter answered them back immediately to say, oh, okay. And then the hiring manager messaged him and basically was like, hey, I saw your project. You want to come in for an interview? It was that simple. He actually got a rejection and turned it around by sending his link back. It was great.
That's it. And that's what we tell people all the time. But you can't do it if that project is weak, because they're going to judge you by what they see predominantly in the self-learning market, the boot camp market, and even the college market. So you're coming out of this, all the juniors come out, and typically most of them, well, I would say most of them, more than half, don't have a portfolio or they don't have projects. They may have a GitHub, but it's not published. You can't see it. It's really hard for you to say, I can do this. So the thing that you need to do is, especially when you're working with recruiters, is I say this all the time, you got to give them something to pitch. So here's what a recruiter's job is to present 5 candidates to an employer. He's going to get paid 20% of the first year of your salary. So let's say that you make 50 grand in your first job. He's going to get paid $10,000 to get someone hired in that role. If he puts you in one of the 5 and you're the first one that goes through and you totally flunk it, you have no skill, no projects, no nothing whatsoever, that employer is going to look at the other 4 from that recruiter and not even talk to him a lot of times. You can run it for everyone else that's getting interviewed, and you don't need to feel bad about that. But the recruiter knows that's going to happen, and he's going to I can't take a risk on you to put you in front of the employer because you're going to bomb an interview. And if you bomb an interview, it ruins it for me. And that's why so many people say the recruiter ghosted me, because they took one look at your portfolio and they're like, I can't sell that. I can't do it. I gave them a chance, but I can't sell it. The second thing that juniors don't do, if you have great projects, great portfolios, and you've done all the work, is they don't pitch the portfolio to the recruiter. And that's what you're saying that message was? That was a recruiter, like an HR non-technical person going, nah, brah, you're from a boot camp? No, we don't do that.
Too junior for me. That was their
self-learned. You didn't go to college. No, we don't do that. And then even colleges, we're looking for someone more mid. I can't sell anything like that. And then you slide them a portfolio, slide them a full stack project, and they'll go, I can sell that.
Yeah.
None of the other guys I'm getting ready to present have that. Okay, you're in the mix. And suddenly now you're in the show at that point. It's what we call it. You're in the show. You got on stage. And that's what a portfolio
Still got some work to do.
Still got some work to do. We got to see if you can sing, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I got you to the stage at the Apollo, and you got the mic, and you're ready to go, okay, can I do this or not? So that's the other thing. Now, here's the thing about learning that I see a lot. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of comments about this. And feel free to challenge my thoughts. Put a comment in there. Kevin will put it up there. I don't care how negative you think it is or how much you think that I'm wrong about this. I know from experience that I'm right about this. So many people are looking at, how do I learn how to code? And there's so many people out there saying, never, ever spend money for your education, specifically a boot camp. If you're paying 10 to 15 grand for a boot camp, you're wasting your money unless they got serious contacts in the industry. And I always raise my hand, what do you mean by contacts? What boot camp has a contact at every company in America? Nobody does. All right. So what I want you to understand is, when you buy a course or a boot camp or a college, you are not purchasing a job. You're purchasing skills. Okay.
Even the opportunity to learn skills.
The skills is what gets you a job. There is no boot camp. There's no college. There's nobody that can actually get you a job. Now, maybe if you go to MIT and you graduate from MIT, just because you went to MIT, it will open up 25 opportunities to interview the day you graduate. and you got like, or 100 people looking at you, okay? That's great. But it didn't get you a job. Your ability to win a technical interview is what got you the job. Very rarely is there any school that can just say, hey, Frank, hire Johnny over here. He just graduated. Why? Because I said so. That's just not happening. And so there's departments in colleges that try to help you get a job. There's some kind of career services in most boot camps that try to help you get a job. Now here at Coder Foundry, I think we do an exceptional job, and I'm biased. I'm 100% biased, but I can tell you I spend a lot of time trying to figure out how do I make these students land. And that's because, you know, a lot of them are on ISAs. I need to get you a job so you can pay your ISA, and I don't make money if I don't get your job. So our goals are aligned. Right. But at the same time, I'm also a good human, which means that if you came into the boot camp, I know your expectation is I need a job. And some people come to me and they're like, man, my life sucks. Can you help me change that? And I take that responsibility very seriously. So we work on like, why do you lose and why does some win? And like, if I can take the winners and take what they did and transfer that to the person that losing, can I get that up? Now, let's talk about this that I think is real important to think about this. When you get a boot camp, and you see this thing on Reddit, don't buy a boot camp unless they have contacts in the industry. I think you're not buying a job, but you're also discounting the instructors, the education, and what you're going to build.
I've literally seen that. It's like, basically, it's like, well, I can learn that on my own. Therefore, the only thing that I am buying is that connection.
Right.
The job, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
What I want you to understand, I'm probably getting I see the comments rolling now, but that's fine. What I want you to understand is this. It's like what you are buying is the skill. Your skill is what's going to get you a job. Okay. Now, someone may open up a few doors for you. They may get you to an interview, and we try to engineer interviews here at Coder Foundry all the time. But your skill is what's going to land you a job, your ability to interview. You need to build projects that resonate in the current marketplace that you're in. If they don't resonate in the current marketplace you're in, I don't care if you went to the Bill Gates School of Coding and Bill Gates taught you himself, or Steve Jobs came back from the dead to teach you this. If you can't demonstrate that in an interview, you aren't going to get a job. And so you're buying skill set. And what I'm saying is, on top of that skill set, if you don't have projects, you ain't getting a job. So you can learn a lot of things like we do in college, but if we don't have projects coming out of there, it's really hard to land. So somewhere along the way, either post-college or your Udemy course, or you're coming out of a school like boot camp like Coder Foundry, you got to have a project you can show. So you got to de-risk or change the way they perceive you as a student. The recruiter's got to know, are you worth the time to put you in front of the employer, and will you perform adequately? Even if you don't get picked, are you going to be reasonably like, okay, this person knows what they're doing, my HR is functioning well? You know, the last thing you want as an HR rep is the director of IT coming back to you and say, hey man, why did you send me these 5 boneheads? Like, what are we doing over here? Like, what's going on? I need a developer. You sent me 5 guys that can't do anything. And so those are the kind of conversations that's go on. So HR has a real pressure to produce quality people to put in front of the director of IT or the tech lead or whatever during the interview process. They don't want to interview 100 people. They want to interview 5 and pick from that list. You know, they want to feel confident that they've got the 5 best people that we could find. The only way you can do that is through project. So I ask this question to every single bootcamp grad coming in, or bootcamp potential student coming in. They'll ask me, hey, what are the placement rates at Coder Foundry? And I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. What if I told you they were 90%? 10% of the people don't get a job, 90% do. What side of the equation are you on? Everyone says, I'm in the 90s. Oh, yeah, great. What if I told you it was 80-20? What percentage of the equation are you on? And they'll say, 80. I'm like, what if I told you it's 50-50? What are you on? They're like, whoa, wait, well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. I have no idea. Is it? Are you on the losing side or are you on the winning side? And we take people in the boot camp that come in here, because we turn around a lot of people that answer that question and say, oh, I'm on the 50 winning side. Because no one can keep you from getting a job. The skills that you learn are the thing that gets you the job. It's not my ability to convince an employer to hire you, because I can't. I can get you to the stage to hold the mic, but I can't tell them to hire you. And that's what happens. And so you need to be in your mind thinking, okay, I need a skill set. I need projects that resonate during the interview process, period. That's what I'm buying. Now imagine this, when everyone says, don't go to boot camp, don't go to college, the teachers can't teach you anything, no one can teach you, you can learn this totally on your own, and I totally get it. But people take that advice from like really famous people in the industry, and then they go out and they try to cobble together their own boot camp through a collection of free code camps, some courses here, courses that. And they don't know about the industry. And that's what I think that a lot of like tech influencers don't understand, is that when people come to us, they don't know the difference between .NET and MERN and React and Angular or HTMX. Right. They just look at it's like, well, should I learn HTMX today? That seems like it's what all the YouTube videos are about. No.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok.
Like, no, that's not what you need to learn. You know, like, what should I learn? The things that people are hiring for. How do I know that? Well, talk to someone who's been in the business. Here's the other thing influencers don't understand. And I learned this from personal experience because I do this, but then I realized a lot of people don't, is that most people, when they interview and they're asked a technical question, don't answer with an example. If I asked you what HTML is, you'll tell me it stands for hypertext markup language. It's a markup language, allows you to build websites. And they'll stop right there.
Yep.
If they have it memorized. And then they'll say, well, what is CSS? And say, oh, it's cascading style sheets, and that allows us to style a web page. They'll stop there. And someone will say, well, what's JavaScript? Well, that allows us to manipulate the DOM of an HTML page. And it's a scripting language that we can run. It's the only language that runs in a browser. And you can have all of these technical descriptions. And they'll keep going down that list until you miss a question. And now notice, in none of that did I ever explain, can I build a web page? And so like no one says, well, he knows all the terms, he knows all the academic, but I don't know if he can build it or not. Now, if you ask me what HTML was, and it's like, well, you know what? I was building an HTML page last week. Let me show you that one. The one I just built this. Let me show it to you. It's way cool. It's got movies on it and I'm excited about it. And you show them how that works. And here's my CSS. Here's the JavaScript I used to build it. Do you see the difference between that type of interview and else? And I've said this a lot about Kevin. Kevin came and interviewed for the position at Foundry many, many years ago. And I can remember, and it was by accident, but he came in.
Totally.
The first thing he did was showed me a video he made to pitch a school. It's like, it totally aligned with what we was doing. Oh, that's a commercial for a community college. Well, that's exactly what we're doing. It's like, we're going to hire you. We don't need to interview anymore. We found our guy, and it works. But because he demonstrated the skills as an editor. Now, what we do as technical people when we're interviewing is, instead of showing people edited movies, we talk about the functions and features in Premiere. Oh, well, I use these keystrokes. Here's the keystroke to do this, to edit. Here's the keystroke to do that.
Right.
Here's how you import media into a thing. They never show the finished work. If you can't show finished work, I'm telling you, you're not going to get a job in this industry. Especially as if we move to a recession when it gets more competitive, only people that can show work are going to get jobs. So name any college, any course, any self-paced course that can guarantee you a job.
Yeah, it doesn't exist, does it?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter where you go. The thing that lands you a job is skills.
What we get is, we see this we do see this pushback on like the bootcamp doesn't have these employer connections, that therefore it's a scam because that's the thing that you're buying. And it's like, even the best, so we have a bunch of connections. We regularly send out people out to companies. But here's the thing, they're not always hiring. It's not a constant stream of people going to these 20 companies that we have connections with, or however many it is. Like, it just doesn't always happen that way. Therefore, I'm assuming every other place has to have that exact same thing. Not everybody is always hiring. If somebody says, yes, we have a database of 500 companies that we work with, like, okay, the real question is, how many of those are hiring today? And it doesn't matter. Like you said, that it doesn't matter. You may get your foot in the door. It may be a slightly better chance for you to get on the stage, but you've still got to sing. It doesn't matter. They're not going to say just because you gave me the recommendation, I'm going to hire this person. No. The favor that they're doing that person is says, yeah, we'll talk to them. That's it. That's all they're doing. And you can do that yourself by having a great portfolio.
So you need a portfolio of projects and skills that can win at the Indeed job level and the LinkedIn job level and at the HR level. Okay, what I mean by that is they've pushed out a job posting and you apply for it, and the stuff that you have moves the needle to get you to the interview process. All right. You should not rely on anybody to find you a job. Don't outsource that important thing to someone else because their sense of urgency doesn't match yours. I need a job next week. Therefore, I can remember when I was working as just a consultant by myself, basically a contractor, I worked with 6 recruiters. I had all 6 of them on there. I talked to all of them. You know, when I was looking, I called every one of them. Hey, I'm looking. Just let you know, here's what I'm doing. This was what I did last time, and I'm going to win. And I can remember telling one of the guys, hey, I know you got jobs. Put me in the room. And he goes, why should I do that? I said, because every time I interview, I win. And that's what I told him. I said, I'm going to make you some money today if you put me in the room and let me interview. And I know that sounds cocky. That sounds crazy. But what I was doing was de-risking myself as a client and saying, why should I pick Bobby over Frank over here? Frank's got 5 years experience. Bobby's got 5 years experience. Why should I do it? Bobby told me he was going to win. Bobby has stuff to show. He's got things to talk about. Oh, I'm going to put him in the game because I think I can win with him. You know, it's the same thing in sports, man. You pick the guy that can hit jump shots. You put him in the game. You know, the other guy says, I play great defense. I talk a good game. Oh, yeah? Can you hit a shot? I don't know. So can you hit a shot? Yes, I'll hit it every time you throw it to me. And so that's what we want to do. Now, how do we build that confidence? We have confidence built into our portfolio. So when you have a portfolio of projects and someone asks you a question, you can answer it with those projects. Now, here's the perfect example of a guy that interviewed from Foundry 2 days ago. I don't know if he landed yet, but I can tell you this was perfect execution and it worked. They asked him a question. Hey, if you were going to send an email with .NET to somebody, what would you do?
Oh, I saw this. Yeah, this is good.
You know, which is, wow, that's a crazy precise question. That is a crazy thing. Like, how would I answer that? Like, how would I do that? This guy says, well, let me show you how I did it in my bug tracker where we send the notifications out. And took him over there and he talked about, said, here's my email service class, here's MailKit. And he talked about how he did it. Yeah. He demoed how he did it. He didn't talk about the theory behind, I guess I'd have to like do this. I would sort of do this. I think there's some SNTP classes inside of C# that I could use. There's some of that's memorizing academic knowledge. Yeah. Boom. He went right to the demo, showed him on the Zoom page, went straight to the line of code and said, this is how I did it.
Well, this went from
moves you on.
Yeah, this went from how would you do something to, oh, I've already done that.
Show you how to do it. Let me teach you how to do it. Like, and that's the difference, man. And I know I'm getting passionate about it, but like, it's just so crazy. You have to demo to win. I can't say this enough. If you demo, you'll win. If you don't demo, you better be an encyclopedia, the Wikipedia of whatever you're interviewing for. You better have it all, because what happens is they'll ask you 20 questions and say you missed number 19. And then that dude that's interviewing goes like, man, he should have known that. I know he can't work here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what? What do you mean he can't work here? I was 19 for 20. That's great. You know, but they'll put that weight on the miss. It's like the wart on your face, like we said before. They can't get past it. You have to answer them all correctly to get through the process. It's that you can't shoot 80% in an interview situation. You have to answer them all correctly. That's the only way you're going to win. Here's how you can do it to win. To engineer that process is get them off that list of questions and then move over to code and then say, let's look at this code together. Let me show you what I did. Take the very first question, demo that answer, and then they'll start asking questions about the code base. That is powerful. And that's what wins you jobs. And that's why juniors don't lose, because they don't have projects to show. They don't demo during the interview process. And they're also relying on third parties exclusively to find them a job. And then when they don't, they complain about it. You need to take control of your career. And I'm not advocating that Foundry doesn't place people, because 100% we do. And if you ask students, you're like, we're calling them on the phone. Hey, you apply to this right now. I'm getting ready to call into the employer. and I'm going to pull your name off the stack because I'm going to present your stuff for you. But you have to apply first. You have to be in there. And then when I get them to the interview, I'm saying demo, 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 demo. The quicker you demo, the quicker you win. We had a guy 4 weeks ago, that got a no during the interview, Kevin. The guy turned to his face and says, "We like you, man. We like your grit, but we just don't think you have enough experience." And he goes, "Well, you got 5 minutes? Can you look at this bug tracker I built and just let me show it to you?"
It was like his it was like his Hail Mary, wasn't it? Like
Hail Mary, just throw it in there from half court and say, "Just give me some feedback. Just tell me if I'm on the right track. I would love your experience." The response from the employer was, "You built this?" He goes, "Yeah. Yeah, I'm showing you the software that I built." He said, 4 weeks? Wow. He turns to his tech lead and he goes, "I'm going to hire this guy. I'm going to give you a job." And gave him a job, man. It went from no to yes. And I'm telling you, that's how you do it. Like, that's how you do it, whether you go to CodeFoundry or not. So let's say that you went to a bad boot camp. Okay? Define bad boot camp. Teacher didn't show up. They didn't teach you anything. You don't have any projects.
You slept through the whole thing.
You slept through the whole thing, whatever it is, okay? And you got nothing to show. You can go to Reddit and complain about that for the next 8 to 9 months. Or you can say, let me take the one nugget of truth that I got out of that thing, the one thing, and turn that into a project and show it to an employer. That's what you have to do. Let's say that you weren't successful at your boot camp. The boot camp wasn't bad, okay? And I've seen this too. I don't think CodeFoundry is a bad boot camp. In fact, I think we're the best in the country, but some people don't get the results from us sometimes, okay? I'd say it's more in the minority than it is in the majority by a long shot. But like some people that leave here aren't successful. I can tell you why. They either don't apply or they don't demo during interviews, okay? They think that I can generate a job and just hand it to them. I can tell you that some people, I have generated the job and handed to them and they say no, which is why I wrote a book that says, take the first offer. Like, what? I just called my friend. They want to hire you. I get you an offer. It's written on a piece of paper and you turn it down. Like, what happened? Yeah. Like, what are we doing? You know? And so those are the things that I know that if people come in and they're motivated, you need to control your own destiny, regardless of where you go. Okay? Your skills should match the marketplace and you demo during an interview. Make sure you have projects to show. You'll get more interview opportunities. And the quicker you interview or quicker you demo an interview, the more job offers you'll get. I have seen people get 3 offers come out of CodeFoundry. I've seen people get offers before we even graduated. Because
I've had people leave the boot camp early to go.
Yeah, I have seen people fail the boot camp, but they had one project and they demoed during that one project and they still landed. And I think that is the difference between doing it. Now, do I feel like you should go all the way through CodeFoundry? We have value? Yeah, we have a lot of value to offer. I think the teachers are excellent and we stay with you 40 hours a week, every single day. And then our recruiting team, we're going to stay with you every step of the way trying to get you jobs. We have a big whiteboard that we just have people on there. And I can tell you, we have called students that graduated and say, "Hey, I just looked at the whiteboard. You got no activity on your whiteboard. What are you doing?"
I'm on vacation.
And I had a guy that said, "Well, I looked at the interviews and it had 200 applicants and I decided that was too many, so I'm not going to apply to those." I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Like, if you apply, I'm going to call the company and tell them to look at your resume. We're going to pull you off the stack. But if you don't apply, you don't do it." I've had people leave our boot camp and go on vacation for 3 months. I was tired. Yeah. And they don't land
why they
because
can't break in. Yeah.
Their skills deteriorate over time. As you know, things are fresh. It's better. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't have it. But if you're sitting out there today and you're just like, "I want a dev job," you don't have projects, build projects. If your portfolio isn't perfect, make it perfect. You're going to need a teacher, a coach, or a mentor to help you navigate this process. You can't do it solely by yourself. Very few of us can. Very few of us are like 100% totally independent, don't need any help to do anything. We pull everything up by our bootstraps. We grow our own food. You know, like we don't need anything. You know, I'm self-sufficient, you know, but 90% of us need help. And that's where I think a good boot camp can give you a teacher, a coach, or a mentor. But you also can reach out to people and say, "Hey, man, give me some feedback on the portfolio. Is it good? Show me the warts and all. Tell me the bad stuff. Please tell me. Embarrass me. Go ahead." We've had people that said, hey, I'm going to send you my portfolio, but don't show it to anyone because I'm embarrassed of it. I'm like, I'm not reviewing it.
Yeah.
If you can't handle that, what's the point? Because I promise you, if you work for Twitter or you work for these companies and you make a bad release, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said it, because we've had a few people who have sent us, because we do portfolio reviews on here. We've done that before. We're thinking about revamping that, actually. We might do something else with that in the future.
Yeah.
But we've done those on here before. And we've had people send them to us offline and said, like, hey, can you review my portfolio, but we don't want it to be on the channel? Like, well, no.
No.
It needs to be public. You need, like, it needs to be a thing. Like,
are you sending it publicly to employers?
Right.
Will you put a link to it on your LinkedIn profile that anyone can click on and can look at it? Yeah. No, I don't do that. Well, what's the point of having the portfolio if you're not going to share it with anyone? Like, do you think, like, it's so crazy when you think about it. We get on a YouTube channel, 10,000 people look at, or more will look at our portfolio reviews. This could be an employer, man.
Exactly.
But you don't want us to share it? Okay. If you don't want to share it, then I don't want to share it. There's no reason to look at it.
Exactly.
If you're not going to share it. I mean, like, what are we doing? Like, there's no reason to review it. I mean, like, it's not to bring us views. It's to give you visibility to people is what we're trying to do, really. And we've never, ever really embarrassed anyone on our portfolio. We have said negative things about it and say, fix this. But it's always in a constructive criticism way, which is, I think, how you build up.
I hope we come across that way.
You don't make fun of them. You just say, purple and gold, great for the Lakers, terrible for a website. I've said that before. Like, I don't like that color scheme. I would change it around. So hopefully, if you can remember, you're purchasing skills and not a job, and that the job is on you to get because no one cares more about you than you, then you're going to win in this industry and make sure your projects resonate in the marketplace. So if you build .NET projects, interview for .NET jobs. You build React, interview for React. So many boot camps teach these kind of like off-filter stacks like MERN, and they're like 5% of the web development marketplace. And they have the idea of like, okay, as long as you build something, I can show those skills during an interview, and that's partially true. But most people build things with a certain stack. Yeah. And they're going to hire the person that already knows that stack, even at the junior level. You're going to have to blow them away to overcome someone else who already knows the stack they're hiring for. So if you've learned React, don't interview for an Angular job, interview for a React job. If you know .NET, interview for a .NET job. And my other piece of advice, I know it's crazy. I think full stack's the only way as a junior to break in. I think it's really hard to break in otherwise. It's hard.
Yeah, I would say it's an easier way for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you'll just see the stories where somebody does that.
And they get in.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
they're exceptional.
It's smaller.
Yeah. So like exceptional people do it, and you're like, well, I'm exceptional. Okay, I try to lean on the fact of like, what could we do if everyone followed this? They would all land. Okay, if everyone followed it to the T, would they all land? That's where I want to be. I want to be in the mainstream stack that's being used right now by a lot of people across a lot of cities, a lot of altitude. I don't want to have to hit a home run in Topeka, Kansas with the exact stack that this one company using it in the city that I have is using it. I don't want to try to hit that home run.
Right.
I want to hit a single and get a job, which means that I put my stuff out there. I get 10 or so interview requests. I interview 5 times. And 1 out of 5, I'm successful and I win. That's the type of, that's what I want to do. That's what we're trying to build. But every single time if I interview, I'm at least impressing those hiring candidates so that the recruiter will use me the next time. And then I'm pushing out as broad as I can. I'm looking as broad as I can to do it. I'm willing to move if I have to. If you live in nowhere, Kansas, something like that, or we've had a guy in South Dakota, like, dude, you're gonna have to move, man. Like, I mean, I've got a lot of skill, but I can't make a company go to a wasteland of snow and ice. I mean, like, it's just really hard up there.
Yeah, and remote's tough for a junior. It's like why they do exist. They're again a much smaller fraction. We think it's better to be in person as a junior. You're gonna learn more.
Can we at least move to Bismarck? I mean, can we get to a city? Is there somewhere we can go? It's like it's lower, I mean, you have more chance, in New York, Atlanta, or even Charlotte, Raleigh here in North Carolina, or even the Tri-area now, which is really 3 cities: High Point, Kernersville, and Winston, than you do in like Billings, Montana, or something that's really super small or very small. There's some very small towns across our state and every state. Most states have 2 or 3 metropolitan areas.
It's funny
but
though,
most of Ohio is uninhabited. But Cleveland's pretty good. You can go get a job in Cleveland and Cincinnati.
There's also some it's weird though, because we have a couple of companies that hire from us that are in tiny places too. So it's like they do exist. We have what's the
it's
YAM?
A home run.
It is a home run. What's the YAM? I can't remember the YAM. There's the
Red
YAM
X,
capital.
Red X Bay. Red X
yeah,
Bay.
it's
the YAM capital of the world.
YAM capital of the world, which is nowhere North Carolina. It's seriously nowhere.
Nowhere.
And then we have
There's one company
in,
there.
Siler City too, don't we? Who's another company who hires down there, and it's if you've driven through there's nothing there. I drove through there on the way back from the beach, and I was like, wow, I've never been here before. I was like, this is a stoplight. There's nothing there. There's nothing there except the company who does hire developers for us. It's kind of crazy.
So that's what I call you have to be a home run hitter, man. There's one company, you got to hope to have a job when you graduate, and when you interview, man, you've got to knock it out of the park.
Yep.
I don't want that for a lot of people. Most of us can't do that. We need a more broader set of opportunities. And so that's where your portfolio and your projects give you that. It gives you that. I mean, it's true. If they hire you in Tabor City, maybe it's solely because you live in Tabor City. That's great. Tabor City, North Carolina, the YAM capital of the world.
Right.
But otherwise, we need to live and work in a place that's kind of big. It doesn't have to be anywhere. There is dev jobs in every city in America. But you got to live near one of those, or recruit, or you'll be willing to relocate or commute. Maybe your first job has an hour commute. I've had people turn down jobs on a 25-minute commute. I'm like, man, you've never lived in a city.
Yeah, they wouldn't drive from Greensboro to Winston or Winston to Greensboro. It's
what are you doing?
Cities are literally connected. What are we talking about?
You can't. 25 minutes is too far. What? Where do you think? I don't know. So even in New York, man, it's dude, you're gonna get on the subway for 40 minutes somewhere. By the time you get there,
right?
Right.
So
I don't know. What kind of questions we got, or what else you got?
I will go through a bunch of questions, but this one just came in because it's a recent one. We'll talk about this right now. So Lala said, "That's so interesting, Bobby. I've seen so much on. I guess that's online, saying that you got to go with one or the other. No one will trust you with full stack." And thank you for being a subscriber, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for that question. And I do see a lot of that too. Here's what I want you to understand too: where the industry is going. If you follow industry news, we have a brand new release of .NET 8 coming out. Okay, we have I would call it a renaissance or an upheaval or whatever you want to do in the React stack. What are they trying to do? They're trying to fix certain things. Angular is the same way. And so I'm going to put that out there as the 3 major stacks out there. Java, you can throw that in there if you want to put it 4. And if you like the Django, okay, I'll give you that one. That's 5, the PHP and the Laravel and those kind of stuff. They're smaller. Every single one of them is trying to figure out, how do we run components on the server side? What are we going to do with server-side components? Because we need to run these things on the server side. We can't run everything in a spot because there's a lot of problems doing that. And you're like, that's not true. It is true. If you look at what React and Angular and what all the people are fighting over, is how do we run server-side components? How do we do it? And then Microsoft and .NET is coming out saying, we've been doing server-side for 25 years. How do we build this really responsive front-end client? We want something that runs like React, and that's called Blazor. And so everybody is merging these things together to where I think in the next 3 years, we're not going to call it full stack development. You know what we're going to call it? Web application development. You just need to know it all. There will be some people that are better in one section or the other, but it's really hard to say, and we hear it from back-end guys man, I don't care, man. I just write web API endpoints. I don't care what it looks like on the front end. Well, the business cares. I mean,
right. That's where it gets used.
Can you help me out here? No, I don't want to do that. I don't care about CSS or HTML or JavaScript or anything. I don't touch that stuff. It's going to make you less valuable in the marketplace. The same thing the front end said, we teach front end in boot camps. Why? Because it's easier. It's easier. It's less to know. It's less to teach, and we don't have to worry about the back end piece. We don't have to worry about security and database and SQL and all these other things. But the guy that's doing that says, well, we have a full stack project, and it's not that not going to trust you with the whole thing. No one said that. I'm telling you right now, if you go in there, you got a React job, and you show React, just front end React like tic-tac-toe and like all these other simple to-do list React, totally for client side, no interaction with the database whatsoever, and some other guy comes in and shows React, and then it's also got a web API on the back end, he hits the database, it's got security and everything else, that person's going to win. And what I'm saying is it's being competitive at the interview process that you need to be. It's not, are they going to hand the keys to the kingdom over to you? No, they're not. They're going to have a team of people that help you figure out the navigate. But we're trying to win an interview. And that's where these people, when they say this, are wrong. They don't either, they're not looking for dev jobs in a lot of cases, or they don't know how to interview, or they haven't looked in 10 years and they're working at a company and they've never been in the marketplace and they don't understand how developers are picked or why people lose. That's my job. That's what I do. I can tell you, we have beat out mid-levels.
Right.
Come straight out of a boot camp. The guy's been coding for 12 weeks and he wins the role. Why? He had projects, and they're full stack projects. And so that is why you want it. You want to be competitive at the interview process, and that's why a full stack project will do it. And that's why you should build it. You should be naturally curious how this whole thing works to some degree. How does a login page work? How does the database access work? How does the front end technologies work? How does that work? How is the data and those things meld together so I can make a good, compelling UI? All of those things should be. Now, what will you do when they pay you to do it? Whatever they ask you to do. Maybe you'll end up just doing back-end development, or you'll just do client-side React. I don't know. But you want to win a job? Show a full stack project. That's what I think.
There you go. Let's see. Rob says, I had an interview this week, but it was for a technical support role. How do you feel about a non-development role as long as they have developers there?
All right, I'll give you the dad talk. We need a job first, and we need to have a paycheck. So if that's the only thing you can get, go for it, okay? You can bounce from that role over to a development role. You also can take that role, build up your projects, build up your portfolio while you're working. You can do all those things, and then bounce to another company. And being in a technical support role does help you during the interview process. You have some experience in those things like that.
It's closer, isn't it? It's close. It's tangentially related.
I can tell you this, as a recruiter, it's easier to sell someone with technical support experience than someone who's been out of work for 5 years, because they waited around trying to find the perfect role and they never went and got any experience. And you are right, Rob, that technical support role, you'll meet the hiring manager over there on a personal basis. You're at the drink machine or the water cooler or whatever, and you're like, man, we're looking for some coders. Like, I can do that. Really? Show me what you got. And those conversations, then you're not even going through a recruiter. They just, change your paycheck.
Exactly.
Same chair.
Another thing you could do is you could go to one of the developers and just say, you can build a relationship and just say, hey, I'm working on some stuff. I do this on the side. Here's what I'm working on. You help me with this?
I had a guy the other day that was interviewing in Canada, and I'm sorry if I'm telling your stories out of school, but like he came in and asked us a question. He said, hey, my friend works at company X, but I haven't seen him since high school. Should I contact them to see if they can help me out? I'm like, yeah. Like, you got to do everything you can do. You got to be aggressive. And I said, you don't want to be a user, but like, hey, what's up, man? Can you help me out? Sure enough, he reaches out to the guy he hadn't seen since high school, 4 or 5 years. The guy pushes him over there and says, yeah, I'll send your stuff along. That's how the world works. This is why, too, the underrated thing of superpower in business is be nice. Be nice to everybody you meet.
Bridges.
For the most part, don't burn bridges. I see so many people, they just explode bridges in their life all the time.
Like, we see lots of them. It's crazy. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah. I can remember my best one was like, I remember coming in a place, I was a contractor, been there for one day, and the network administrator quit. And he went full Jerry Maguire. We're talking like double birds walking out the office, man, yelling and screaming, taking his potted plant with him, It's like, I'm just like, okay, that's one way to quit.
You're like, well, he's never coming back.
He's never coming back ever. And you're hoping that the people that work there, they go to other companies. Would you hire that guy? Okay, it was the worst day of his life, but I get it. But like at the same time, it does impact you. It can impact you. So be nice. It's the other superpower I didn't put on my list here.
Definitely. Just quick, Antoine Code says, good morning. I just finished the AI chef course. That's awesome. Great course. Send us a link.
Show us.
I want to, yeah. Send us a link. So send us a link.
You may be the first person.
I think there's maybe a couple people who've gone all the way through at least. I think I've seen one other. Send it to us. Send it to Antoine. Send us a link at info@codefoundry.com. I'm interested to see. I want to see what.
By the way, man, components in Blazor, game changer. Like we're going to talk about this later in the week, probably. But like the component first framework that's coming from Blazor or .NET 8, whatever they're going to call it. I don't know if they're going to call it Blazor. They may just call it web app. It is like, it's game changing. Like Microsoft has done a fantastic job of making a first rate client side framework that marries seamlessly to a server side framework. Like it is the new hotness. Like, old and busted, new hotness. That is, it's, and I'm not saying that from a fanboy's approach. I can tell you right now, I'm building MVC applications, wishing now they were in Blazor, because like, man, it's so much easier to make a component. Like it's so much easier. Like, partial views in MVC, it's a little bit of a work. If I need a little interactivity here, so much easier to do. I don't have to do that. And then if you look at React or Angular, it's just like, I don't know why people would pick it at this point. It's really that cool. People are still going to use React, don't get me wrong. They're still going to use it. Angular and everything will still be in demand next year. But I'm telling you right now, .NET 8 is going to change the way people are going to be looking at what their next rewrite's going to be. It's going to be in .NET 8, and they're going to use Blazor to do it. It's going to supersede MVC as the first class web framework they have. It's still ASP.NET. It's still all the great server-side stuff, everything you've done. It's just a little bit of like how you look at it and how you build things. And then being a component first is really powerful. So anyway, and Blazor, what they're seeing is a component first WebAssembly project built in Blazor, and that's in .NET 7 right now. And .NET 8 will be out sometime later in the year.
And our roadmap is definitely to switch over to that, right? For the bootcamp.
We're going to switch probably to .NET 8 web app Blazor, definitely sooner rather than later, sometime next year.
Right.
Because of how long it takes us to rebuild Bug Tracker, Blog, the 5 other C# projects we got to do, and then all of our slides and everything. There is a paradigm shift. It's no longer MVC. It's a different kind of like MVVM framework. Right. It's a little bit different. So there's a lot of things that we got to teach and talk about. So, but hey, if you're coming to the bootcamp in January and you're like, are you teaching .NET 8 or are you teaching .NET 7? Probably 7 in January. Is that going to keep me from getting a job? No. It's mainstream. Pick the mainstream thing that gets you the most jobs today. And then when we switch over, that's because we feel like it's going more mainstream. You got to realize Blazor's like 4 or 5 years old now. And it's going to hit mainstream prime time in .NET 8 for sure. It's really powerful, really cool.
See, no one knows says, hi, I'm from India. Hope you're both doing well. I'm a recent graduate with CS and currently I'm into web development and I've done some projects, but whenever I apply, I don't get any response. This is the soft no. So no one knows is getting a soft no.
So are you showing them a portfolio during the application process, and what are those projects? Are they good? If you don't know the answer to that, they're probably not good. If you do, check it with someone you know and trust and say, what do you think of this? How do you feel about this when I show you my portfolio? What does it look like? The other thing that's hidden is a lot of times recruiters and people you apply to don't see your link. Okay? If you applied to a place, to a company, and you got no response, my gut feeling is you didn't follow up. You need to call that company directly, email them directly and say, hey, I just recently applied, and give them 3 reasons to hire you. I'm committed. I've got a craft. But the first thing is I recently just finished my Bug Tracker project. Here's the link below. It's built in MVC, C#, ASP.NET, and SQL. This is the exact stack that you're using. I think my skills align with what you're doing. Plus, I'm committed, ethical, honest, and I'm just generally a nice person. Hope we can talk. That's a follow-up email, and then you can also do the same thing on the phone. Now, America and India are 2 different countries, so I don't know how I would do that in India, but if someone transported me to India today, that's what I would do. But I would also do research on how these people are aligning to their roles. How are they looking at it? I would try to find someone that worked there and go, hey man, I applied. Why did I get a no?
Yeah, try and find that answer.
Try to find out why you're getting rejected, and then you'll know, well, you just didn't look like you had any skill, or we had 10 other people that had way more skill than you. Like, why'd you think they had more skill? I got talent. They have portfolios, and that's what you're going to see. These people are talking in demos to win. They're putting their projects first. So you got to have projects.
A few more here then. Offer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
100%. Yes.
Is it description important in the portfolio?
Yes. The stack that you built it with, the description that you used on it. In fact, in CSS or at Coder Foundry, we have a project card that we have that's built out. It's a little block like this. When you hover over, it gives you a short description. When you click and learn more, it comes to a mobile pop-up, which has slides and like gives you a detailed description of what it does. And then there's a live site. Boom, right over the live site with demo login. So along the way, the shoppers, okay, what is this project? Oh, it's a bugtracker.net. Oh, let me do that. Oh, screenshots. Got a very detailed description now. Okay, now I'm interested. Let me hit the live site. Let me log in.
Yeah, it's a tease for the thing, isn't it? It's your whole goal is to make them click through to look at it and interact with it. So whatever you can do to do
CTA,
that.
Call to action. You have to use marketing techniques on your portfolio in order to get the response that you want. You want them to click on the link. Figure out why you click on links when you go to a website.
Yeah.
Think about it. You know, someone told us the other day, like, you need to change you have too many button colors, you know, like, we're like, what? And they're like, well, they only click on a certain color. And like, really? Let's try that.
Give it a shot. Yeah, like, I'm all ears.
Give it a shot. And that works, you know? So like, now we're like, okay, so I need to do that on portfolios then. Like, I need to make sure that technique, that call to action, that CTA above the fold is one color. Boom, that's clickable. I know that when I look at it straight away. It doesn't get lost in the palette. It needs to stand out.
Yep. Let's see. Lala said, I'm still working on my portfolio, not quite ready to show yet. Should I still be applying or wait until my portfolio is done and published?
You can apply and maybe you'll get through, but you're going to have to show work at some point. We feel like that you should have your portfolio because that's the thing that's going to get you the job. So finish it. Today's Thursday. Get that thing done by Monday. Like, get it. Let's go after it. Let's get after it. Get aggressive. You know, like we always tell the cheerleaders, if you're from America, be aggressive. Be aggressive. Get after it. You know,
also,
like, this is the number one thing you're going to win with is a portfolio.
I would also say only include on it what's finished too. Don't
no unfinished work.
Yeah, don't leave unfinished work on it. Don't leave like coming soon kind of things. That kind of stuff doesn't tend to do very well. Nope. Go with what you have. What you have, put it on there, and then start shipping it, and then just add to it as you go.
Yeah, and I would say Kevin said the right word is just ship it, which is like get it to a point to where you can show it, but don't delay forever because you're trying to perfect it. It should be perfect in the stuff that's there. Right. Every link should work. Everything should be put together. But like if you have designs for 17 other pages and I'm only going to show this until I get to the 17th page, and that's going to take me 9 months or 2 years to do, you probably could have got a job a lot earlier if you would just showed a one pager with a click here to see my bug tracker link on it. You know, like you could have won that way. So like, just make sure that whatever you have is perfect, but finish it so you have something to show. It's really hard to win without a demo. Very difficult.
Yep. This is an interesting thing you've talked about a bunch, but Rob says, got called out of the blue from a local business owner who's hiring for an IT person. I have no idea where or how she found me, other than I have a LinkedIn and a portfolio. It's just that passive work.
You can ask. That's always ask. Yeah. Always tell them to ask.
Yeah.
That way you know what's working.
They passively found you through one of those things. Yeah.
LinkedIn. I would say 90% case is LinkedIn. And if you don't have a great LinkedIn portfolio, we have a course that you can take, our self-paced course. You can bring that up if you want to show a link to it, Kevin. It's invaluable. Like it's just crazy, like what people think LinkedIn is and how they undervalue it. When 90% of all recruiters use LinkedIn exclusively to find roles, and I bet you it's closer to 99 now. Those are old stats, but like, if you're not on there, you're invisible. Is it free?
Yeah, free.
Okay, right, cool. Free course for everyone. Go take the LinkedIn course. Sign up.
We basically.
I didn't know if it was free or behind the paywall. I'm not sure.
This one is a free one.
Cool.
Yeah, this is at learn.codefoundry.com/LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can sign up there. Yeah. I'll put that in chat.
Chat and just check it out. So, Rob, I would imagine that they found you through LinkedIn. Portfolio is possible if you're linking it and showing it a lot and sharing it a lot, but like probably it was LinkedIn. And they're just looking, and whatever you had in your search algorithm, you came up as someone that's local to them and that you had the skills they were looking for. Boom. And that's how you generated a lead. You turned a passive looker into an opportunity to interview. Most people, if your LinkedIn isn't right, they would have just passed away and they swiped over and looked for the next local person they could find. And I want everyone to think about Rob's success here. That LinkedIn profile, boom, turned into an interview opportunity. If you don't have those things put together, it's really hard to win.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Okay. It's taco time.
I feel like I've been like yelling all day, Kevin. Like, I got passionate. I'm sorry. I get excited.
No, you've been passionate about like helping people. That's what this is. That's what
we're here for. You can do it, guys. Yeah. Do it. Seize the day. You can win. So I think that just to sum it up, build a project, show the project during the interview. Okay. If your portfolio is not perfect, make it perfect so you don't get soft nose. If you get to that interview, someone hands you the mic, you're on stage at the Apollo. Sing, baby. Show that project off. Show it off. That's the best thing you can do, and you'll have way more success. You may not win them all, but I would tell Coder Foundry students, you can demo during 5 interviews, you're going to win one of those. And I just want you to win. I want you to get a job. Stop relying on people to find the job for you. No one's going to find it for you. You got to go out and get it done yourself. Interview, call, follow up, have stuff to show. You can win.
I love Lala's comment here, by the way. Just we'll finish on this.
We are coaches here at Coder Foundry. We're like, come on, let's go. Let's get it done.
Yeah, we want everyone to win.
Sometimes
get passionate about it.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, we'll catch you guys next week. We'll be back.
Keep coding, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.